What is up, guys? It is Kikizilla 101 here yet again, and today I'm going to be starting off my new countdown series that I've been wanting to do for a long time, where I just do little countdowns of various things that I've planned. I have a bunch of them planned out, and this is the first one I wanted to do. But first off, I want to just make a quick apology that I haven't released any videos recently. It's just simply because I've been so busy with work right now, and I've been really tired when I get home, and I have other things I have to do. And in particular, today I was supposed to do a lot of work, trying to get my paleo review number 2 done, and I had some problems with sick fish, so I had to deal with that. But anyways, I'm just trying to do this really fast video so I can get something out there for you guys, and I've been wanting to do this, and it's much quicker to do. Without further ado, this video is going to be about the top 10 figures I want for 2019. From Safari Ltd in particular. I was going to do one just top 10 list for all of them, but I felt like it was missing a lot of the points. There was specific things I wanted to hit and touch points on, so I'm just doing for Safari, and then I'm going to do Collecta and Papo. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into my top 10 wanted figures for 2019 for Safari Ltd. Sarcosuchus is a extremely famous ceratopsian, probably the most famous ceratopsian besides Triceratops itself. You see this guy all over the place. It's a really popular one, very iconic, just the one main nasal horn there and all the spikes on the back. It's been actually quite abused in figure form, however. I feel like it's just, you don't see it very often, and most of the figures that are out there for it are, Chinosaurs and stuff like that. Recently, we've been getting some more love to it. Like Collecta has made a pretty good ceratopsian. It's a really good one. I really love their ceratopsian. It's the deluxe one. And also, Papo had made one a while back, and that one wasn't too bad either. Now, Safari Limited's last Sarcosuchus was their Carnegie one, so it's been quite a long time since they've made it, and since they've been making a lot of new ceratopsians and updating their ceratopsians, their new quality of them is just stupendous, and that's exactly why I think the Styracosaurus needs a desperate update and should probably be getting one in their new ceratopsian collection. I think it definitely deserves that spot. It's one of the most popular ceratopsians, and since they're willing to do Triceratops as well as another ceratopsian, I think that they should, for 2019, do a remake of Styracosaurus, just like they did a remake for Triceratops, and then do a new species of ceratopsian as well, just like they did Regaliceratops alongside Triceratops. Anyways, that's what I think they should do for Styracosaurus. Now, Proterosuchus is one of my favorite Permian creatures ever. I just love this guy. Ever since I've seen him in Walking with Monsters, I just love them. And I shouldn't have referred to it as a he because it's a genus, but Proterosuchus is just awesome. I love it. I love the cool hook to its jaw. It's just a very cool looking creature and very unique. And since Safari seemed to start back up on maybe doing some Permian creatures with the recent update of the Dimetrodon, given that Dimetrodon is super famous and commonly mistaken for an actual dinosaur, it's not necessarily a foolproof direction that they're going for Permian creatures now. However, Collecta started doing some Permian creatures with their Dimetrodon and their Spinosaurus. So it'd be pretty cool to see some of these bigger companies going for some more Permian creatures, and I think Proterosuchus would be awesome because it's very unique, very recognizable, and I just love that creature. That's why I put it on the list. That's the one I prefer personally. Now, the only other figure I've really ever seen of Proterosuchus isn't actually of a Proterosuchus, it's of a Chasmatosaurus, and it's very closely related. That's the family that Proterosuchus belongs to, and it was made from Safari in their little tube of crocodilians. So yeah, and if you don't know, Proterosuchus is a ancestor or related to crocodilians, so that's probably why it was in that tube. But that's the only interpretation of this type of creature that we've ever really gotten. So it'd be really awesome to see Proterosuchus inside figure form. Now, the number 8 spot goes to Centralosaurus or Chasmosaurus. I say this because I want either of them. This is what I think that for 2019 they should, like I said before, they should do a remake of a ceratopsian, preferably Styracosaurus, and then do a new one. And if they're not going to do just a remake, they should at least do one new ceratopsian in my opinion. That's why I put these guys higher on the list, or lower, depending on how you look at it. Now, Centrosaurus is a very important ceratopsian, but it's been very mistreated inside figure form because it doesn't have anything. I couldn't find a single thing on Centrosaurus. Now, it was discovered like way back in the early 1900s. It was one of the first ever ceratopsians found, and that's why it has its own branch named after it, the Centrosaurs, or Centrosaurines. I think it might be what they're called, but the Centrosaurs, I'll just call them that for now. Yeah, so it has a whole branch named after it because it is one of the most, early discovered ceratopsians ever. So I think it's very deserving of its own figure, especially from Safari Ltd. So I think it should definitely be getting one of the spots. However, I also really want to see a Chasmosaurus. I love the frill of Chasmosaurus. It's very unique. It's almost squarish. I always love seeing it on my Chinasaur figures that I always had. They were really cheap, but they were cool. I liked the Chasmosaurus. It was cool looking. So it's a very unique ceratopsian, especially with its head frill. So it'd be really cool to be able to see an actually well done figure of it. The only semi well done figure of Chasmosaurus we've ever gotten is from Collecta, and it's really old, really outdated, and really bad. It's very inaccurate as well. We just need a new Chasmosaurus. So that's why I think it also deserves this spot. So Safari Ltd picks Centrosaurus or Chasmosaurus. I don't really care. I just want one of those guys. It'd be awesome if we could get both. That'd be really unique. Tyrannosaurus is a very cool and unique Hadrosaur, and I think Hadrosaurs need to be made more often. They're not made very often, and it seems like some companies are starting to get the hang of it, or get the idea that we need more Hadrosaurs and iguanodonts, stuff like that. And so it'd be really awesome to see Safari Ltd, come back and make another unique Hadrosaur. And they did a good job with their Edmontosaurus with the pose and everything, and they made it very non-generic, and I think they also did very well with the iguanodon recently. So I really would love to see them do an Tyrannosaurus, because Tyrannosaurus has not really had much figure form stuff. I mean, a PNSO made a figure, but that's tiny, and the only one that's actually really within the terms of what we call collecting stuff is by Collecta, no pun intended, and that one's also outdated and bad. So I think that we need a update for Tyrannosaurus, and I'd really like to see that from Safari Ltd, because they've shown us that they can do very good Hadrosaurs and iguanodons, those types of animals. Alright, so this is also two different dinosaurs. You pick what you want, Safari, but I wanted either a Dryosaurus or a Lianolosaura. Now, these are both very similar dinosaurs, and that's why I put them here, because, I wouldn't mind seeing either one. Now, Dryosaurus is a very iconic, one. A lot of us grew up with Walking with Dinosaurs, and we know what Dryosaurus is. It's a very unique dinosaur, and it's like basically the staple of this body design, this type of animal. Dryosaurus. You see that silhouette and you think Dryosaurus. You gotta have Dryosaurus. Now, unfortunately, we have no figures whatsoever of Dryosaurus, and that's why I think it's very important we gotta get one. They really need some figure adaptations. Now, Lianolosaura, I would really like to see, because it's got the same body design like we said before, but it's more unique, and so maybe Safari wants to take a road where they can, maybe teach some people about it. It's also was in Walking with Dinosaurs, but it's not very likely that anybody even remembered the name or really cared about it as much as, or remembered it as easily as Dryosaurus. I really love Lianolosaura because I just love the creature itself and the habitat it lived in the polar environment and everything like that. It's just really awesome. It's a really awesome dinosaur. Now, it's only got one figure adaptation that I could ever find, and that's the Walking with Dinosaurs figures. They had a Lianolosaura figure. Other than that, there is nothing for it, and so I also think this one desperately needs a figure adaptation. So it'd be awesome if we could get either Dryosaurus or Lianolosaura. Now, Basilosaurus or Ambulocetus. I love Basilosaurus. I don't know about you guys, but I love Basilosaurus. I think Basilosaurus is awesome, and I also think Ambulocetus is awesome. I just love the whole evolutionary path of whales. It's really awesome and cool, and hasn't really been touched inside of the figure world. And so I think it'd be really cool for Safari to go down that road, especially since they're going into their Cenozoic animals recently. I think it'd be super awesome if they could go with some of the aquatic stuff like Basilosaurus Tyrannosaurus would be awesome. Now, Basilosaurus has only 2 really figure adaptations besides the PNSO one, which I'm not really counting. Collecta has made one, which is really cool and awesome. I love that one. You know, I'd like to see one from Safari, and just see their take on it. Safari has technically made one, but it's a tube version. It's really tiny and kind of sucks. So let's get a big one from you, Safari, or an Ambulocetus, because Ambulocetus is awesome. I love it just as much. It's even more of a big, staple and whale evolution, and so it'd be really cool to see their take on that guy, and even be more closely, like, aesthetically to a mammal. And we don't have anything on Ambulocetus, and it'd be awesome to be able to get it. The only thing, I looked it up just to see what I could find for Ambulocetus on toys, and I found this plushie. That's all I could find, is this plushie. So we need a figure. So please, Safari Limited, pick Basilosaurus, because Basilosaurus is awesome, or do Ambulocetus, because that would just be ridiculously insane. Now up next is I promise it's my last 2 dinosaurs for one pick, a Utahraptor or Dakota Raptor. Now these guys are they have a lot in common. They are feathered, they are dromaeosaurs, they have states inside of their names, and they are huge. These guys are awesome. Everybody loves the big dromaeosaurs. I mean, even if they're not your favorite dromaeosaurs, you gotta have some room in your heart for a big dromaeosaur. I mean, especially if you're a Jurassic Park fan, because, you grew up with big raptors. Now, personally, I love Utahraptor. Utahraptor is just awesome. It's definitely my favorite dromaeosaur. It's in my top 10 favorite dinosaurs. It's my second favorite dinosaur, in fact. I fell in love with it after walking with dinosaurs. The last Safari figure, last time that Safari made a Utahraptor, which was their only Utahraptor, besides the baby one, I'm not going to really count that one though, was their Safari Wild one, the old one that came with like a baby version and everything. So that's their last one, and it desperately needs an update. And it'd be so cool to get a feathered Utahraptor. I would love it so much. Now, Dakota Raptor is the next best thing. Even though I don't like Dakota Raptor as much as I like Utahraptor, it's pretty cool. It's a big one, and it's basically just a smaller Utahraptor. So I wouldn't really complain if we got a figure from it. And also, there are no figures of Dakota Raptor out there. You can't really find anything. If this figure got, created, people would have a riot. There would be a riot over this stuff. I mean, they'd run to this figure. Dakota Raptor's awesome, and even if as much as I want a Utahraptor figure from him, I can always use a Dakota Raptor figure as a Utahraptor inside of one of my series or something like that, or pretend it's a Utahraptor, right? And I know that they do it especially well since they had so much success with their new Velociraptor from 2017. Now, Argentinosaurus holds a special place in my heart because I grew up watching Chased by Dinosaurs. I thought Argentinosaurus was so cool. I love the visual of Giganotosaurus and Argentinosaurus, battling it out. Giganotosaurus is my 3rd favorite dinosaur, and so I love the whole look of that thing. Argentinosaurus is just amazing. It's one of the largest dinosaurs ever, if not the largest dinosaur ever. But there's a couple that might have passed it. So that's why I'm saying maybe. We don't really know. But either way, it'd be awesome to get a figure from this guy. Okay, now we have gotten a couple figures of Argentinosaurus before, but it's not been treated very well. In particular, Collecta's was probably the best Argentinosaurus out there. But my main problem with this figure is that it's tiny. Okay, if we're gonna get an Argentinosaurus figure from Safari, just stop. If you're gonna make one and you're gonna make it small, don't even do it. That's why it's in the 3rd place, because I just don't feel like Safari Limited is going to do it, but I really want them to. I want them to make a giant Argentinosaurus that can sit on my desk and take up the entire thing. I want a size-accurate 1/40th scale Argentinosaurus to go with my Giganotosaurus and stuff. That would be freaking awesome. And, you'd make money off that. I would buy it. I'd buy 3 of them if you want me to. I'll get them, okay? Just make a big one. You've made big figures in the past with your Carnegie, Diplodocus and stuff like that. Please make us a big old Argentinosaurus. People would go crazy for it. People would love it. I would love it. I guarantee you there's a group out there to buy that figure. It would become, the new big thing to put up on your shelf, especially since it would be new. So I just feel like Safari has to do this eventually, but they got to do it right if they're going to do it. Please make it big. Sarcosuchus is probably universally known and loved by almost any prehistoric fan ever. How can you not love Sarcosuchus? Sarcosuchus is awesome. But we haven't been getting like many large crocodilians, period, from any company recently. And specifically Safari hasn't been making anything. Like their latest even thing that could even pass off for something like that is maybe their Asukas that was, like forever ago. That was like 2008 or something like that. And so it'd be awesome to get an awesome Sarcosuchus figure. I mean, we've gotten a couple in the past, but they've been kind of mistreated. I mean, we haven't really gotten that many. We got one from Collecta, which is, it's okay, but it's like really outdated and kind of crappy, and its jaw gets warped all the time. So it's not really, it's not pretty. And then Safari did make one. I guess I gotta give him credit for that, but it's a tube one, so that kind of sucks. It's really tiny and, it's a tube. Take that as you wish, but we need a new Sarcosuchus figure, plain old and simple. Safari, get on it. I don't really need to say much else. Now, Spinosaurus, I just want to make a quick comment on. I know a lot of people love it, and Spinosaurus hasn't been made by Safari for a long time. However, I don't really think they're going to, and I don't know if they should, because we just are so unsure right now of exactly how Spinosaurus, looked and acted. So they'd have to take a gamble in picking a way to interpret Spinosaurus, which could be really risky to their reputation, because it could really, tick off a lot of fans who feel one way over another. And until we find a fossil that, really well preserves Spinosaurus and tells us which way it, walked, and if it was a quadruped or not, I don't really know if Safari's gonna do it. So I don't know if it's a good idea to. Number one spot, Allosaurus. You guys are probably like, what the heck? This is your number one pick? I'm sorry. Allosaurus is awesome. Everybody knows what it is. It's an incredible animal. It's not my favorite dinosaur. It's one of my favorite dinosaurs, okay? But this guy is such a famous dinosaur that almost any generic person off the street could name it. If you ask them for two big theropods that they know, they'd probably say Allosaurus and Spinosaurus, but right after that, probably Allosaurus. I mean, it's very iconic. It's got the head crests and everything. And this guy has been terribly mistreated in figure form. I mean, terribly. Look at this Schleich figure. That's one of their best Allosauruses. It sucks, okay? Allosaurus does not have any good interpretations, and none recently whatsoever. Okay, so Safari has made some in the past. They've made their old Carnegie ones, and then their yellow Carnegie one, and their most recent adaptation is the Wild Safari one, and that one doesn't look very good either. That one's really outdated as well. The best one out there is Papos. I love this Allosaurus, don't get me wrong, but it's not scientifically accurate, and it's from like 2007, 2008, something like that. We really need a new Allosaurus figure, and bad. I have personally gone to Safari's website and went to the suggestion link where you can suggest a figure, and I have suggested that they make a new Allosaurus. And I highly recommend you guys go to Safari Limited's page. I'm going to put a link to in the description for you guys to go there and suggest a figure for yourself. It doesn't have to be Allosaurus, but it can be whatever you want the most, or, you can put multiple figures on there. I just put one because I really wanted them to focus on one. I could have listed off all of my top 10, but I just felt like I really needed to focus. The Allosaurus needs a new figure. Bad. Okay, it really needs a new figure. It deserves it. Okay, so if you guys are willing to, please help me and join me in requesting them to make a new Allosaurus figure. Hashtag Safari New Allosaurus 2019. Let's do that. Okay, let's make the hashtag. Let's make it. Do it. Let's get Safari to make us an Allosaurus figure. And I truly feel like with Safari's scientific accuracy and their just pure skill in sculpting and paint job and everything, just their production quality, they can do the Allosaurus justice. Please tell me what your guys' most wanted figures from Safari for 2019 is. You don't have to necessarily make a top 10 list in the comment section, but if you do, you go ahead, I'll read it. And please go to Safari's website and suggest them a figure so we can get them making the figures that we want. If you are willing to, and you don't have one in mind, tell them to make an Allosaurus. It needs one, okay? Or one off this list if you don't have any ideas. So go ahead. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.